From rock bottom to rise, the power of starting over. The fall. There's a moment, quiet, heavy, impossible to forget, where everything in your life seems to collapse. It's not loud or cinematic. It's not a single event you can point to and say, that's when it happened. It's more like a slow unraveling, a thread pulled from the fabric of your existence until the whole thing frays and falls apart. For Daniel, that moment came not in a day, but over months, each loss stacking upon the last like stones in a crumbling wall. Daniel was 34, living in a mid-sized city where the skyline was modest but the ambitions of its people were not. He'd done everything right, or so he thought. High school valedictorian, a business degree from a respectable university, a job as a marketing analyst at a firm that paid well enough to afford a one-bedroom apartment with a view of the river. He had a partner, Emily, who posted photos of their weekend hikes with captions like, "Living our best life." Friends invited him to barbecues and game nights. His parents beamed when they told their friends about our Daniel, the successful one. But success, Daniel learned, was a fragile thing. It wasn't just the external markers, the job, the relationship, the social media likes. It was the feeling inside, the quiet assurance that you were where you were meant to be, and that feeling, Daniel didn't have it. Hadn't had it for years. Behind the polished exterior, he was exhausted. Meetings drained him not because of the work but because of the performance he had to put on, smiling, nodding, pitching ideas he didn't believe in. Dinners with friends felt like auditions for a role he no longer wanted to play. Even with Emily there was a distance, a silent agreement to avoid the deeper conversations that might reveal the cracks in their foundation. He was pretending, always pretending, and the weight of that mask was crushing him. Then in a single year the mask shattered. It started with Emily. One evening after a quiet dinner where they'd barely spoken, she looked at him across the table and said, "I don't think I can do this anymore." There was no fight, no screaming match, just a calm, devastating finality. She packed a bag and left that night, her footsteps echoing in the hallway as Daniel sat frozen on the couch, unable to process what had just happened. She didn't explain and he didn't ask. Maybe he already knew. 3 months later, his company announced layoffs. The email was clinical, almost polite. "Due to market conditions, we are restructuring." His name was on the list. Years of late nights, skipped lunches, and going the extra mile meant nothing. He cleared out his desk, handed in his badge, and walked into a world that suddenly felt too big and too empty. The final blow came just weeks later. His father Thomas, the man who taught him how to tie a tie and throw a baseball, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. It was aggressive, merciless. 6 weeks from diagnosis to funeral. Daniel stood at the graveside, staring at the polished wood of the coffin, feeling like the ground beneath him was giving way. His father had been his anchor, the one person who saw through his facade and loved him anyway. Now he was gone. Loss after loss after loss. Daniel didn't cry, not at the funeral, not in the weeks that followed. Instead, he sank into a fog, a numbness that was quite sadness but something heavier, more disorienting. He stopped answering calls from friends, stopped checking emails, stopped shaving, stopped cleaning the apartment. Days blurred into nights and he'd find himself sitting on the edge of his bed, staring at the floor, the clock ticking past 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. The world outside his window kept moving, but he was stuck, suspended in a moment where nothing made sense. Maybe this is it, he thought. Maybe I peaked early and this is all that's left. The spark. Rock bottom isn't a place you choose to visit. It's a place you wake up in, surrounded by the wreckage of what used to be your life. For Daniel, it was a park bench on a crisp October morning, the leaves turning gold and red around him. He started coming to the park because it was one of the few places where he could breathe without feeling like he was suffocating. The world there was quiet, predictable, squirrels darting across paths, joggers with earbuds, the occasional dog chasing a ball. It was a reminder that life went on, even if his didn't. He was sitting there one day, hands shoved in his jacket pockets, when an older man sat down beside him. The man was in his late 60s, maybe older, with a weathered face and a knit cap pulled low over his ears. He carried a thermos, the kind you'd see at a construction site, and he sipped from it without saying a word. They sat in silence for nearly 20 minutes, two strangers sharing a bench, watching the world go by. Then, out of nowhere, the man spoke. "Do you know the thing about rock bottom?" Daniel turned, startled. The man didn't look at him, just kept his eyes on the trees, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "The ground is solid," he said. "And once you're down there, you've got nothing left to lose, so it's the best place to start climbing." The words hung in the air, simple but heavy. Daniel didn't respond, didn't know how to. The man took another sip from his thermos, stood and walked away, leaving Daniel alone with a thought he couldn't shake. It wasn't a lightning bolt, it wasn't a choir of angels or a sudden epiphany, but it was something, a crack in the fog, a sliver of light. That night, Daniel went home and pulled out a notebook he hadn't touched in years. He wrote one question, the ink smudging under his shaking hand. What if I built a life I actually wanted? Not a life that looked good on Instagram, not a life that checked boxes for his parents or his peers, a life that felt right deep in his bones, a life that was his. The climb. The next morning Daniel woke up early, not because he had to but because he wanted to. He pulled on a pair of sneakers and walked, not to anywhere specific, just through the city, letting the rhythm of his steps ground him. The air was cool, the streets still waking up. He passed a coffee shop where baristas were setting up tables, a street musician tuning a guitar, a woman walking her dog. The world was alive, and for the first time in months he felt like he was part of it. He started small. He bought a journal, not a fancy one, just a spiral-bound notebook from the drugstore, and began writing, not essays or manifestos, just fragments of thoughts. I miss Dad's laugh. I'm scared I'll never feel okay again. I want to do something that matters. The words were messy, raw, but they were honest, and that honesty felt like a lifeline. He started cooking again, simple things: pasta with store-bought sauce, scrambled eggs with too much butter. The act of chopping vegetables, stirring a pot, tasting salt on his tongue, it made him feel human. He called an old friend, Sarah, someone he hadn't spoken to since college. Hey, he said, his voice cracking. I'm not okay, can we talk? She didn't ask questions, didn't judge. She just listened, and when he was done she said, You're still you, Daniel, you're still in there. Piece by piece, day by day, something shifted. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a montage of triumphant moments. It was a slow, steady crawl back to the surface. He stopped trying to rebuild the life he'd lost, the job, the relationship, the image. Instead, he started building something new. He signed up to volunteer at a local youth center, something he'd always wanted to do but never made time for. The kids there were tough, guarded, but they reminded him of himself at that age, trying to figure out who they were in a world that didn't always make sense. He didn't have answers for them, but he showed up. He listened. He played basketball with them, laughed at their jokes, helped with homework. And in their eyes, he saw a spark of possibility that he'd forgotten existed. Enrolled in an online course, not for a degree or a promotion but for himself. It was a writing class, something he'd loved in high school but abandoned for practical pursuits. He started posting short essays online, not expecting anyone to read them. But people did. They commented, shared, reached out. Your words made me feel less alone, one message said. I thought I was the only one who felt this way, said another. His words weren't polished or profound, they were true, and that was enough. The rise. Rising from rock bottom isn't about reaching the top of some metaphorical mountain. It's about rediscovering who you are when the masks are gone. For Daniel, it was about learning to live without pretending. It was about finding joy in small things, a sunrise, a good cup of coffee, a kid at the youth center high-fiving him after making a shot. It was about forgiving himself for falling, for not being perfect, for not having all the answers. He didn't become a millionaire, he didn't find the one or land a corner office, but he found something better, himself. He found a life that felt like his own. And in that life he found purpose, not the kind that comes with applause, but the kind that comes with quiet mornings and honest nights. Here, what Daniel's story teaches us: rock bottom isn't the end. It's where truth lives. It's where you strip away the expectations, the shoulds, the lies you've told yourself to keep going. It's where you find the solid ground to start climbing. You are allowed to start over. You are allowed to fall apart and come back stronger. You are allowed to change direction, to say, that life wasn't mine and I'm ready for something better. You don't need a 5-year plan. You don't need to know where you're going. You just need to take one small step. Because the truth is, everyone will face their version of rock bottom, but not everyone will rise, not because they can't, but because they don't believe they can. But you can, you will, you are already beginning. And one day, when someone else finds themselves lost, you'll look them in the eye and say, I've been where you are. I thought it was the end too, but it was just the beginning. This is your story now, not the story of the fall, but the story of the rise. You are more than your mistakes, more than what broke you, more than your past. You are becoming. So start today, not with perfection, but with purpose. Because rock bottom isn't your prison, it's your launchpad, and you were born to rise. If this message touched your heart or reminded you that you're not alone, don't forget to subscribe. At Inspire Hub, we're building a space where hope rises, strength is shared, and every story matters. Subscribe now and join a growing community of dreamers, doers, and overcomers. Because your comeback is just getting started, and we'll rise together, one video at a time.